Hi. I've been asked a couple of times of how to share maps from my computer into Avenza PDF via the iTunes file sharing method. So what I'm going to do is I've just plugged my phone in and I'm going to click on iTunes here, and these are my tunes. And you'll see, because my phone's plugged in, I have the iPhone icon there. I'm going to click on that. And there's a bunch of things here. I could click on music. There's no real music in my library or anything. But this is all the different things that you can do with your phone. You can look at your photos and all that. I'm interested in going to the apps up here. So once I'm in apps, I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to start scrolling until I get all the way to the bottom of the page. And you'll notice up here, it'll say file sharing. And anything on your phone that you can file share will be in that list. And you'll notice PDF Maps is in that list. So I just click on PDF Maps. And now I'm going to add files that I want to share to PDF Maps. And they're in my documents. I'm going to switch this by kind so that way it's easier. And it's in my navigation plans, my Iceland maps, the Troll Peninsula, and I have these geotiffs here. So I'm going to just do a couple of geotiffs that I'm going to import into Caltopo. I'll click add. So what will happen is, and it takes a while for them to populate only because they're fairly large. So now I have them listed into my my file sharing. So now I'm going to go to my phone here, and presto, and I'll open PDF Maps. Okay, and I'm doing that with my finger on my phone now, and it's harder to see the clicks, but I'm going to use this plus right here. I can point to it, but I can't click it with my mouse. I'm going to click on my phone on that plus, and you can see it'll say import map and from iTunes file sharing. And those are the two TIFFs that I have in iPhone's file sharing. Now you got to remember my phone is plugged in here. So I can select them individually by just tapping on one, and I can just check it, or I can tap on both. Of course, down in the bottom here, you'll see select all. I can select all. So I'm going to import those two. So if you have a bunch of things you have put already in there and you just want to add one more, and you can just add the one you want by selecting the one you want. Pretty simple stuff. And right now I'm going to press on import. And so I'll press on import. And again, these are fairly large files, so it's going to take a second. And there they go. So there's 1816-1 processing. And this will take just a minute, so you have to bear with me. And we'll just let that complete. And then 1816-2 is going in. Now you'll notice under 1816-1, there's a mileage, 2,430.2 miles, and it sort of has an arrow. That's how far away that map is from me currently. So by seeing that, it tells me that it's all set, GPS enabled in my phone. So when I go to Iceland, if I'm in that area, I'll have a blue dot on that map. So what I'm going to do is just click on this 1816. It's a finger touch, -1. And you can see the map is in really good condition as far as resolution is concerned. Pretty cool. I have the entire map in there and that kind of thing. So I can do a couple of things. People have been asking me also, how do I export? How do I have Avenza PDF track me? And then how do I export? So to track you, there's this wrench. So if you click on that wrench, it'll say record GPS tracks. You can see that right up here. And I can record a GPS track. So if I do that right now, it'll be a little strange because it's not on the map. It won't be, I'm in New Hampshire right now, so it won't record a GPS track on Iceland map if I hit record GPS track. But it will record a track. It'll just be in New Hampshire. So what I'm going to do is just tap that, and you'll see it'll say start. So I can start. I can just click start, and I'm staying still, so nothing's going to happen. I'm going to just stop it, and now I've just made a track theoretically. The other thing I can do is drop a pin by clicking the pin icon over here, and I have a place mark. If I click on the information, I can get a title, and I'll just title it Test. How about Test Iceland? And that's the name of it. And there we go. So I'll just hit the close, and now I have a pin up there. I put a pin so that way you can see, because what I'm going to do is import that track, which is basically another point. It's because I'm just sitting here on my couch doing a movie for you. But the pin will also export. So my next thing is I'm going to tap this pin with the 3 lines. And you'll see I have lines and place marks. So if I tap on this icon right here, that's what I'll do. You'll see the opacity changes, and there's this little eyeball with a slash through it. That means any line on that map now is invisible. So if I have a lot of lines on a map and I've been tracking myself a lot and I want to just not see the lines so I can look at the map, I can always hide it. And then I can also just tap it again and it gets enabled. If I click the eye, right, there'll be a bunch of things I can do here. I can change the icon, I can change the color, and change the name. I'm going to now tap on this arrow. That brings me back. But if I tap on the line itself, it'll show me the track, the name of the track, and it usually gives me a little thumbnail of the area, but seeing I don't have, it's not on the map, it's just blank, and it just shows a little line. It basically is just an icon for that track. I can do the same thing with place marks. So to do that, I have to actually tap the words. So I'm going to tap place mark, and I have test Iceland and right where it is. So now I'm in this, and you can see there are two icons there. That's the import icon here, and this is the export icon. So I'm going to hit export. And up here, that's the file name. It's the name of the map. I'm going to use the iTunes file sharing again. I could email it. I'm going to tap on that arrow, and you can see I have a chance to export it to email or Dropbox. I've highlighted the iTunes file sharing, or I can use AirDrop. I'm going to click on the export settings, and I keep it there. I also have a choice right here to choose what format. The two formats that seem to be the most useful for us is the KML and the GPX. The comma separated value, I believe, is a way to deal with database, and I never used it. So KML is a real good one, and I'll show you why in just a second. And GPX is also really common. I'm going to use the KML. And then I can export it as a track. I have a choice there as a track or just as a line. I'll just export it as a track. And then I have a choice of the all features. And you can see I tapped all features and it clicked. Or I can go custom, and I can highlight whichever one I want. So I could do just the place mark, and you'll notice that this one also clicked automatically when I hit here. If I had a number of place marks, I could pick the place mark that I want. The same thing will happen when I click on the track. I'm just going to export everything so you can kind of see what happens. So I'm going to export, and then I'll hit export. And for some reason it says no features to export. Okay, so I've exported that, and what I'm going to do now is go back to iTunes and go back to my apps, scroll all the way to the bottom again, click on PDF Maps, and what we should see is a KML file. Now this 1816-1 and 1816-2 were the two files I had previously uploaded. They were still in there. I can always get rid of them, but it's this 1816-1 is what I just put in there. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to save it to, my downloads folder. And I've just exported those features into my download, 1816-1 into my download folder. Now what's interesting is if I click on that, it'll automatically open Google Earth, and it'll fly me to those places. So I have two, right? I have the one that, way too many things open. Okay, so here's my temporary files. So there's the place mark. So 1816-1.kml is that's the place mark, and that's the line. So if I click on the place mark, it'll fly me to that spot in Iceland. And I've already put the maps in Google Earth. That's that's for another video. I can change the opacity. Doesn't always seem to work, but that's all right. The Google Earth interface with the maps is kind of cool, but there's my test. And now if I click on the line, what that'll do is, because I was sitting on my couch, it'll bring me to where that line was drawn, which is in New Hampshire. So what I've been able to do, in essence, is take information that's on my computer and transfer it onto Avenza PDF. That was the GeoTIFFs. And then take data from Avenza PDF and transfer it onto my computer. Now, if I want to use this with Caltopo, I'll put a better map up here. If I want to do this with, I can import, and you can see I click import, it'll say a GPX or KML file. I'll choose. Just put that. And here's that KML file. And it'll ask me, do I want everything? So there's a track and the test in Iceland. So I'll just go import both. And what you'll see is, because Caltopo is at my house right now, I've just got it defaulted to go to my house. You can see where the track is. If I do something here, go to either OpenCycle, this TF Outdoors is kind of cool, and just go to Iceland. Let's see if it took me to Iceland. I can just click on that point, and now I have that in Caltopo. Now, in Caltopo, I have overlaid maps in Caltopo, and that's, again, another video. And so I can see that in Caltopo. Now, what's interesting is I can add a line on Caltopo. Just add a random line here. Let's see. What looks like fun? Any of these kind of basins look fun. This looks good. Start from up here. And how about a sort of a steep ski descent? I have no idea. And we'll just go down, stay out of the gully there, and come right down to the valley. And I've got a line that I've drawn on Caltopo. I can click export, and I can go export. I'll use okay. And that is this one right here. NA is, I've already got those on check, and I'll just check that one. And I'm going to export that. There's this weird bug with Caltopo that sometimes happens. It didn't happen. It's just a .kml. I'm going to put it in my downloads. And export.kml, there it is. So if I go to iTunes again, I go add, export KML, there it is. I'll go back to my phone, find my phone screen. There it is. go back to my phone. And now what I'll do is import. Here, let's go. Believe. Not sure which map I was on. Let's try importing it. It'll depend on. I need to put it on a map that I have here. I probably didn't put it close enough to that pin. It's pretty close. So let's see. Yeah, it should be on this map. So let's see. It's pretty close. So I'm going to hit the pin. Okay, so what I did is I hit this icon. And now I'm going to import. So what I've done is I hit that pin icon, and now I hit this icon here, which is the import icon, and import from KML, from iTunes file sharing. It's that export KML. I'm going to import it, and it should be imported. And there's that line now on my Avenza PDF. And I can get information on it because it's an active line. So it's 2.5 miles long. The map doesn't come with elevation data, so you can't get anything else, but you can get at least its distance in there. And so now you can do a little bit of work on it on the phone. I like to do all my work on my laptop and then import lines into my phone. So anyway, I'm hoping this was useful and that you can import data into your Avenza PDF, map data, maps like GeoTIFFs and GeoPDFs using iTunes, and transfer data to and from both Caltopo or Google Earth. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Have a great day.